Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm Dan today along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve, let's talk about the DraftMasters Rotisserie League we're in. It's a 10-team league, 5x5 with solds, save plus holds instead of saves. We've been doing it for 18 years. It's a live auction draft. And Steve, what do you think? How's the season going?
Well, personally, for me, it's going very poorly. But overall, I think it's been going good. There's quite a nice little gathering up top of people all like in 3, 4 points of each other for the money positions,
Yeah.
and the nobody's really far out in front. It's what the leader's up to 72.5 right now. Yeah, I think it's a nice tight season early, actually.
I agree. The top five are only 10 points apart, and that's nothing. I just had a 6 point day the other day. So, I mean, that's nothing. And then there's a separation, 6th through 10th, are a little farther behind. But let's talk about the leader real quick. Ape has taken over the Furies for first place.
Yep. And remember, Rick won 2 years ago.
Yeah,
It was his big comeback because in the very early days, the larval days of fantasy baseball, Rick was a juggernaut in that BC era.
right. And he had one
But
championship early on. I think it's like the second season, maybe
yep.
second
And
or
then
third.
he'd had a long drought. He won 2 years ago, but then everything fell apart last year, and he was awful. As he was he last or next to last?
It was
No, no,
bottom,
no. I take it
bottom.
back. He
Oh, he
made
came
some
back.
gains. He
He
did
came
make some
back at
gains.
the
Yeah,
end,
he
I
did.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Um, but look at him now, right back in first place, looking pretty good.
Apocalypse Now doing really well. If you look at their splits, it's 34 points batting, 38 and a half points pitching. That 38 and a half points he's getting out of his pitching is tied for first with Tommy Baseball's staff, actually. We'll get to Tommy later. So a pretty good, pretty good balance there by Ape. And the Baseball Furies only 2.5 games back with 70 points. Their balance is different, though, Steve. They have 47 points batting, but only 23 points pitching.
47 out of 50, right? I mean,
That is
that's
just
pretty amazing.
that is pretty amazing, and they're only 2.5 games back. It's so early, 10 games is nothing. And then third place is Highland Park Crushers, and they're also a balance that's different. 45 batting points and 24 pitching points, almost identical to Fury's, very close. Um, wow. Also, big batting for the Highland Park. And here's the thing: we always talk about Highland Park getting ahead in innings. I don't know if they are right now. You may can look that up, but their batting is coming through. I'm pretty impressed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 45, I mean, 45 out of 50,
I
pretty
mean,
good.
that is great. Contreras. The St. Louis catcher, Pages. Um,
And you know,
Goldschmidt, Holiday, Machado, De La Cruz, Wilson. I'm just looking at his team. Soderstrom, Stowers was a good pickup. Robert, 195, but 15 stolen bases. Judge, there you go. Yelich, Gurriel, and Grisham. It's a good offense. Volpe on Devers on the bench with
it's
Kirk.
actually really good because I'm
Yeah.
looking at team totals and by at bats. So Rick leads the league with 1,811 at bats. You're second at 1,788. Zach's one behind you at 1,787. And then Baldy's at 1,752. But then it goes Eddie, me, and Garrett. So the Highland Park Crushers are at 1713. Not a ton, but 70, 80 at bats behind you guys. And he's got one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah, your point is well documented. I mean, with those 80 at bats, let's see if he's really high on batting average. He is second in batting average. That's the only thing that 80 at bats would inflict in a bad way. Everything else would be positive.
Yeah.
Um, Home runs, he's third place. Runs, he's third place. RBIs, he's first place. 80 at bats back, and he's 9 up on second Furies. So his team is really producing. Good draft
Yep,
by the
for
Crushers
sure.
and any good pickups. I'm in fourth place with 67 points. I did have a 6 point day with yesterday or Saturday. I can't remember. That really helped. I've been kind of in Midland. I like there a little more. I'm kind of closer to the top, but I could easily go back. Now, I also have not the greatest balance. I'm not real happy with my batting. That's
Well,
come up to it's come up to 30 points. That's where I got most of my 6 points. Like four or five of it was like in batting. I was like at 25. You know what I mean?
right.
So right now you're right. 30 points in batting, 37 pitching looks pretty good. But I am hanging. Then Tommy Baseball rounds out the top five, 10 games back of Ape, 62 and a half points. He also has a imbalance with 38 and a half points pitching, tied for the best pitching staff, and 24 points batting. What is Tommy Baseball had in innings or no?
Let's see. On his at bats, he's third fewest. He's only has 1699 at bats.
At bats. Well, that's one of third fewest. Well, that's one of the reasons he could be behind in offense. Now check innings. Is he way ahead in innings? Is that's why his pitching is so good, or his
No,
pitch?
he's third fewest in innings.
Wow, wow. So more innings would help him in every. Not well. He is first in RA, and he is first in WHIP. So I guess more innings could deter um, that, but he's having a great season so far with his staff, and in K's, he is seventh, about 40
And he's
behind fourth.
he's also seventh in K per nine.
Right. So even if he got those innings, he's still going to be behind. So maybe a good strategy ERA and whip, as long as you can get a lot of wins and solds. Um,
Yeah.
you can punt K's. Interesting strategy. Never even thought about it. Then we got the bottom five, and it's a little different. Seatown, 11 and a half points behind Tommy. He's got 51 points in sixth place. He is the co-champ of last year with you.
Yep. I mean, me and Mike were tied for first last year, and now we're both in the bottom five.
Just glancing at his team, I traded Hoskins to Baldy. Baldy near last place, dropped Hoskins, and I'm just glancing at Mike's lineup, and now I see Hoskins, and I know what I've been reading. That's a great pickup.
Yeah. I mean,
Great.
let's see for Mike. Oh yeah, for Mike, he's hit 286 and he has an ops of 906.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what he's done since Mike picked him up. That's fantastic.
And that's in 16 games too. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, so it's not a small sample. It's starting to get heavier. Yeah. So that was a great pickup and I'm sure Baldy's got to be kicking himself. Sluggers 3 points behind Seatown, 48 points. Baldy then and you are tied for eighth or ninth really, 37 and a half. And Big Al, 10th place, 35, which shows that our analysis of teams before the season is not so good.
No, it's not. It's not great. I mean, I wish I could remember them all. I mean, we could always go back and listen, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like, I remember thinking Zach's team was pretty good. I remember we were high on Garrett's
Yep.
and and Eddie's, right?
And
We were high
Eddie's.
on Garrett's and Eddie's.
Yeah,
We
even
kind of like
mine. Even
Zach,
mine, I was like behind Eddie's because I had some holes.
and I think we might have been good on Rick. Were we good on Rick? I
I
can't
think we
remember.
liked his team. Yeah, we did like his team. I don't know if we were like I don't think he was like the best, but you're like, oh, he's the best team. But I do believe we liked his makeup of his roster after the draft. So that's the standings. Big Al with 35 points, Big Time 37 and a half, and Baldy with 37 and a half. You guys are 10 and a half games back behind seventh place. It's not feeling good down there, is it?
No, it's very bad. The waiver wire does not look good,
No.
and we will go over the transactions lists and that happened over the past week, and it can confirm. And like everybody's out there trying to catch lightning in a bottle, but it really has not been. a strong market out there,
No.
except for solds, because there's always kinds of relief pitchers that can get picked up and dropped at any time.
Right, and there's also guys who start getting more solds all the time than they were a week or two ago. Yeah, without a doubt, it's slim pickings. I was going to bring that up when we get into the free agency. That the beginning of the year, the first month, there was a lot of moves made. You're fixing your draft. People are dropping people they
Yep.
shouldn't, so you're picking up people. You're trying to figure out your team, your strengths and weaknesses. So sometimes you're dropping people you might not want to, but picking up people you think are helping the numbers. So. After the first month, though, it all slows down, and there aren't as many gems out there to find. You're going to get some minor leaguers coming up, or people coming off the DL, or someone they forgot about, and we're going to find those every so often. Someone who starts to produce who wasn't, but the gems, the pickings, are slim.
Yeah. I mean, you're really just, and even then, it's you. You should you pick up a guy that's on a hot streak, even if you know it's like it's only gonna be a week or 10 days, and then I know I'm cutting him because sometimes you just don't want to give up on another guy. You
Well,
know, you
that was my answer to you. I was thinking as you said the question. I was like, well, do you have a slot you don't mind dropping? And if so, if you do, my answer would be yeah. If you got a guy that you don't mind dropping, and you see somebody hot that you know they're not going to do it all season, but he does this for 3 weeks at a time sometimes.
Yep.
Um, I totally think it's worth picking them up and riding that out. It's not easy to find that, but I think that's part of the game. And Chris Shelton hit 10 homers in April. I just always bring that up because it's an example of Chris Shelton only had two or three the rest of the year. But if you had him for
And
April, he really helped your team.
it's not just to, having that ability, the desire and the ability to pick up a guy that you know is only going to be hot for whatever, 15 days.
Right.
But then do you have the desire and ability and guts to put him in your starting lineup? You know, because we all have someone on our bench that we could cut probably, right?
Yeah.
Or rotate through, have those rotating slots. But then, like, let's say you pick up a guy that you're like, I know this guy's not the real deal, but he's playing really fucking good right now. I think he might be able to do it for another week. Now, do I have the guts to bench my starting third baseman, corner infielder, or utility? Because that's what it basically comes down to, And those are the tough decisions when you know the guy you're picking up's not even the real deal.
Not even the real deal. You're just trying to ride a big wave. Absolutely. And listen, I got to real quick say, I don't never mean to bag on Chris Shelton. I've never played in the major leagues. Um, but I don't know if it's 2005 or 2006, but he had 18 homers and 59 ribbies in 2005 and 16 homers and 47 ribbies in 2006. So one of those years he had eight the rest of the year or six the rest of the year. But listen, in 2005, man, he batted 299, had 18 homers, 59 ribbies, in 388 at bats. About 299. That's respectable.
It is respectable. That's good,
And then
right?
the next year, he followed up with 16 homers, 47 ribbies, batted 273, 340 on base, in 373 at bats. So not as good, but also very playable. But then I see 2007's missing. So Chris Shelton had a
Yeah.
really bad injury, I believe. And then he came back with Texas in 2008. And Seattle, actually, he played for in 2009. I don't know if you realize that. I think you would have lost in a
Hmm.
game show. Did you know that? 28 plate appearances in 9 games. So I don't mean to bag on Chris Shelton. I mean, I wish I had that in my resume. But he had 10 homers one April. And then, the rest of the year, he had, two a month. So anybody can help you. The hot streaks are hard to find. I'm all for writing them out. If you got a slot you can drop, especially if you can get them for $1. But there will be a few gems to sneak through. Now is when you need to actually look at the DNA of baseball, box scores, and read and listen to podcasts because they'll tell you too. I prefer looking at the DNA myself, but figuring out the trends, see people that they're getting hot. Be able to beat people to the punch of people that the gems that are will develop.
Well, yeah. I mean, and to that point, I mean, I hear many baseball podcasts talk about guys that you should pick up, and I'd say 60% of the time, our league has already picked those guys up.
I
you
agree
know?
100%. And then a lot of times the other guys are like they're reaching. I'm like, I don't want that guy. Um,
Yeah, no, it's for like super deep, like AL or NL only leagues or something.
no, I mean, I listen. I definitely get led to some good avenues I go down to find a player based on things I read in podcasts, without a doubt. Um, but the best way to do that is either watch the games or look at the box scores, and that's what they're doing. Real quick, I wanted to bring up to you before we go into pickups and drops in the league. You have 10 points in batting, Steve. That's two a category.
Yeah, killing it.
Two a category.
Oof. Nothing. Yeah, it's not good.
Luckily, you're
And I don't,
seventh. You're seventh in stolen bases. So, and you're only, you could be fifth with a couple more. So that's keeping you afloat.
the weird thing is, like, I have a fair amount of guys ranked in the top 100. Like, let's say hitting wise, I got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight players ranked in the top 100. But it's the type of players where, I don't know, they're all fairly average at everything, and nobody's amazing at really anything.
Right.
Just.
Well, that's
So
the
they're
thing about
ranked
the
well.
averages. The ranks, yeah, but the ranks
Yes.
sometimes can be a little hollow.
Yep.
I mean, they really can be. And a lot of times I don't I wish I had an example, but a lot of times I'll be looking at a player, then I look at another player, and I see they have almost the same stats. Actually, the other player has better stats in a couple categories. But then I see the one player had like four stolen bases, the other guy had one, zero. And I'm like, oh, but the rank is like 80 difference. You know what I mean? And I get it. In the system they use, those three more stolen bases make that guy much more important. 70 slots, you know? But at the same time, to me, they're almost the same player. He just has a few less stolen bases. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
the
do.
ranking system is a great guide, but also for suckers. I
Yeah,
don't
I don't have a lot of counting stats,
know.
and that's really it. So, that I don't have any big boppers. I mean, James Wood's doing okay. James Wood, not to be confused with the actor James Woods. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's got 9 homers, 21 RBI, 21 runs, hitting 273. That was a great thing for me. I got him for 22 at the draft. He was my highest bid player, and he's actually ranked 26th, and he's on pace for 100, 140, and 20.
I was in on that
But,
bidding, and
so I got him. I got Bobby Witt. I kind
good
of did
keeper.
well getting Cedric Mullins.
Yeah,
But
he's
yeah, no.
playing
Le-
great. Betts is Betts. He's 65, so he's about where he'll go a little higher probably. You picked up Michael Bush, 87,
yep.
ranked
You know,
87. But you're right. You got no big boppers. You got a couple seven. Got a 7 and a 9. Wood is and Mullins is a 7 and a 6. I mean, you got a 9 and then a couple sevens and sixes. Do you know what I mean? You're right. You don't have the counting stats. Just per comparison, not to say good or bad about my team, but I got a 10 and 11, and then I have an 8. So and a 6 and a 6 and a lot of
if I go to looking at the team totals pages
look at
again,
Highland Park.
um, looking at the team ops, um, Zach is at 796 in first place. So he finally like dipped down below 800. He was at 800 for a few weeks. And now he's at 796. And then it's down to 780 for Highland. Garrett, 780, 769 Hunter, 758 Dan, 749 Mike, 746 Rick, 732 Tommy, 716 Chris, 705 Eddie, and then I'm last with a 688 ops.
Wow,
Just
below
just
7.
horrid.
It is. It's pretty bad. And you're it's at a point like we were talking. It's harder to find the good pickups. There's less, and there are less bad drops once the season starts to fill out and people see where the stats are heading for each player. So it's harder for you to get a player you need. You may have to look for a trade or something, possibly, or just
And
hope someone starts to play well.
the majority of that difference too is in slugging because the difference between the best on base percentage and the worst on base percentage is 343 to 308. So it's only 0.35. Okay.
Right.
The best is 343. The worst, me, is 308. But in slugging, the best is 453 and I'm 380. So that's 73. So
Right.
my extra base output is twice as bad as my on base percentage, where the lacking is happening.
It's a lot of lacking. Your pitching is okay. Obviously, a lot better than your batting, but not that high when it comes to where teams are in points, as you have
Yep, no.
27 and a half, which actually is one, two, three, four, fifth best in the league. So not so bad. One, yeah, two, three,
I'm
four.
fifth in um I'm fifth in innings. As far as innings pitched, it's Garrett at 315, Dan at 297,
Mm,
Mike at 293, Rick at 290,
mm,
Steve at 283,
wow,
Chris at 269,
big jump.
Hunter at 264, Tommy at 260, Zach at 258, and
Ooh,
then Eddie at 238.
wow. So that's a big difference in innings. The 60,
60, 75,
60 so
78 from top to bottom.
78 from top to bottom. And
Yeah.
looking at Big Al, he, like you in batting, is 11 and a half points batting and 23 and a half points pitching. So, but we're seeing that he has some innings to catch up. His whip, where is Big Al? He's third, and ERA, he is sixth. Because sometimes that'd be the only thing that would maybe make you hesitate is just finding good starters, putting them in. Because you're like, well, I am in first in ERA. I don't want to blow it.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely. But he has some innings to catch up. And Zach, as we talked about before, he had less starters. I know he made some pickups. He has more starters now. But he's behind in innings too, um, right now, going into May.
I'm looking at holds now because I have it separated where I can see holds and saves.
Yeah.
And so you are first with 38 holds.
Nice.
I I am second in this godforsaken format with 32 holds. Yay me. Zach is third with 29, Eddie 22, Hunter
Nice.
14, Chris 12, Tom 9,
But
Garrett 8.
a lot of these lower ones, though, have closers and they're higher in saves. Like, I bet I'm lower in saves.
Sure, on the flip side, Rick has 34 saves first,
Right.
but he only has four holds.
Right.
Tom has 29 saves. He's second. He's got nine holds. Chris has 25 and 12. Garrett's 24, then 8. Hunter's 19 saves, 14 holds. Eddie's got 17 saves, 22 holds. Zach, 16 saves, 29 holds. Then 14-7, 532, 438. That's you. You're dead last in saves at 4.
So
But
that
you're first with holds with 38.
and in solds, I'm in second.
When you Yep.
42 to Zach's 45. So as my strategy, I think we discussed it in the podcast after the draft. My strategy was I did not even want a closer. I
Right.
had no interest in bidding for anybody more than a couple bucks as a reliever.
Yeah.
Because I believe with saves and holds being same now in weight, um, there's enough good seventh and eighth inning guys who have good ERA, whips, and strikeout ratios. and there's no reason to spend money on a guy. Yeah, there's a few elite that are like, yeah, that'd be great if I had that guy. But I look,
No,
I have 4 saves. I don't need any.
agreed. And in my estimation, sharing this with anyone who listens, like the 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 teams that have high holds and low holds, like Rick, who's fucking battling for first. Mike is dead second last. Garrett is up there looking to make hay. He's competing. Like those guys are in the bottom three of holds, right? Well,
Right.
holds are out there. You can fucking go get them whenever the fuck you want,
Right. You
right?
may have to drop a starter or a position player that you are hanging on to, but absolutely. There are quality hold guys out there with fine ERA and whip, even still top 20 guys I bet in holds. I would bet you without looking. But it's yeah, they're out there to get. So those guys teams behind should definitely jump on that. On the flip side, just real quick, since I'm touting my own perspective, on the flip side, I have had a few guys that I never would have drafted if it was saves that blew up for me, and I dropped and got another holds guy. But I did take that 6 run inning. I did take that 4 run inning, or four
Sure.
runs with no outs. So getting the less quality, maybe saved guy,
Right.
you may have more blow ups with those setup guys.
True. That's happened to me, and I've thought about that too because, I've had a guy who was kicking ass, and then he gives up whatever 4 runs in a third of an inning, and now his numbers are all shitty across the board, and you're so tempted to be like, I'm cutting this fucker, right? But
Right.
then you got to remember there's a good chance he's one of the elite holds guys throughout the year. And there was one guy, and I didn't cut him. And then, like, his next 5 appearances were like 1 inning shutouts where he had, like, 9 strikeouts in 5 innings.
Right.
So it's a good thing I didn't drop him after that blow up.
I
Like,
gotta.
it's not
I
like these guys. It's
go.
not like these guys are going to go the whole year and have 0 ERAs, right?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Guys who are kind of established, who've done it for 2 to 3 years, as we always say, kind of more trustworthy from a fantasy perspective. If they have that big blow up in April, there's a good chance they're not going to have a big blow up later because they always end up with the same numbers. You know what I mean? It's like, so from that point on, they're going to be aces. A good example I have is, I think it's Hodge or Hoge, from the
Yep.
Cubs. He's a guy who could be a closer for them. He's definitely a setup guy. He had a horrible inning that was just like one of those innings that I just wanted to drop him. I was just like, where is it? 6 runs. He's the guy I was thinking in 2/3 of an inning. I mean, that just hurts, Steve. You know, but the rest of his payments are
Okay.
0 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 since the six 0 0 0 0 0 0. So it's like, you know what? He's a great pitcher. He proved that last year. He's 24. I believe in him. He blew up. I'm not going to give up on him.
Yeah. Yep. I've done it a couple times.
And real quick, do you have access to the Solds leaders? Where is Hodge or Hodge? I would say Hodge, but
Here, hold on. I'll tell you in a second. Get the whole pictures. Then I'm going to go to pictures, all pictures sold, and the the leader of solds is Robert Suarez, the closer
wow.
for the Padres with 13 saves.
But 13 Solds.
13 solds, yes, 13 solds. And then
All together now.
Andres Munoz of the Mariners has 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who's
And
my
then
who's my highest guy?
I think it's Robert Garcia with 9.
Wow. Picked him
No,
up.
no, Alex Vesia with 10.
Nice. That's not bad.
Oh, look, way up here. Lucas Irseg with 12.
Yes. I
There
love it.
you go. So Irseg is, you got 3 guys. Let's see those. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. There's 10 guys with 10 or more solds. And it looks like you got three of them.
Yeah. And I'm second in solds, so that does make sense. Yeah, solds are out there. It definitely creates a different perspective on that fifth pitching category.
Yeah.
It changes your
I mean,
approach.
I mean, yes, it does change your approach, obviously, but it also, it's like, I don't know, it's like kind of one of those, I don't know, I'm trying to explain it. It's like a bet that you don't follow, right? Like you just wait till the result is over and then you go and you check to see if you won. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. It is a lot easier, but you do have to pay attention. I mean, it's good to check your guys and see who's getting holds and who's not the past week or two, and maybe do some changing up. But yeah, they're out there to get. It does create a different domino effect on the rosters. More pitchers are, I think, are kept, and so there's probably more hitters available, more starters. So it creates a domino effect of things that happen in the league. Let's go over the moves. There's not as many as we talked about, or not as big of moves the past week because, well, we're dwindling down pickup season, getting into the second month of baseball.
Yeah, let's start with May 1st.
Okay, go ahead. May 1st.
There's
That was, well, that was approximately a week ago.
yeah, but I think we talked about some of those other ones. I mean, you can go to the 30th if you want.
Sure, either way. How about you start with leader or DeLuca, whatever?
Yeah, DeLuca.
Dropped by the
So
sluggers.
100, yep, 100 drops the sluggers.
Guy who's getting some stolen bases, obviously needed a roster position. Leiter was picked up by Ape, who's in first place. So all these moves are very, scrutinized.
And
Let's look at this.
Lighter was a guy out there. If you're trolling for quality solds guys, he was one of the guys out there.
Absolutely.
I
On a team
thought
that's going to
about
get a lot
grabbing
of
him a few
wins,
times.
going to get a lot of wins on that team. He's pitching really well. Absolutely. He's being used in a position to get solds. Rodriguez, the starter, dropped by Zach, and Ballesteros, the catcher for the Cubs, picked up by Zach.
Yeah, and they talked about him on the podcast a week or so ago, I think. And I've had him in my scout list team for a while. Elite hitting prospect for the Cubs, crushing it at AAA. But he's a catcher, and currently the Cubs have two catchers that are playing very good, so they don't know what they're going to do with him.
Right. With the DH position in the National League, it does create maybe a possibility for him. And then Zach picked up Miller, the relief pitcher, who's another guy basically getting sold, and he dropped Nito.
Yes, he's definitely going through catchers. I mean, I bet you he'll spend. Looks like he's probably going to spend about $20 picking up and cutting catchers this year.
Well, Nito, I think he's used $4 to $5. I kid you not. At least dropped
Yeah,
him 5 times, maybe picked him up 4 times. Pages, I think for the Dodgers, was picked up by Zach. He does get playing time. And then a
yeah,
guy
he's
we
been
were
playing good too, right?
been playing real well. That's why Zach picked him up. Zach needs an outfielder too. And then a guy who was playing so well when the Angels were playing so well in week number 2 or so. Paris for the Angels was dropped by Seatown because he's not playing so well anymore.
Yep, it's one of those. You make the call, you take the gamble, you pick someone up, and then you go, yeah. And then now they start tailing off, and then they're shitty. And how long do you wait before you're like, all right,
Yeah, I'm getting.
I got all the juice, I got all the juice I can out of this fruit.
And I think you have more of those than the ones that keep giving. Like you find somebody like nobody expected this guy to do this. This is great, and usually it peters out. You know what I'm saying? But every so often you get one who's like, wow, this guy overachieved this year. Fry was dropped by Cleveland. Does he still have catcher eligibility? I don't know. I don't think so. Little
I
was
don't.
dropped by Seatown. He's a relief pitcher. And then Baldy picked up France from Minnesota, first baseman, and dropped Taylor Ward.
Mm. Oh, yeah. I Well, I mean, whatever. When you're down there at the bottom, I should start doing crazy things too. But Ty France, no, I can't get on board.
No, and Taylor Ward, not really loving him either, but he does get playing time. Now, Steve, I saw this pickup. I didn't look into him. Have you looked into E. White, right outfielder for Atlanta, picked up by Zach?
No, I got to admit, I haven't.
Really? Well, let's do an E. White breakdown. Dan, 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 dan. All right, Eli White. He he did get 39 at bats last year. He batted 282 in his 39 at bats with a homer and three stolen bases. So three stolen bases in 39 at bats, 35 games. So he probably came in pinch hitting and defensively maybe. But three stolen bases shows he definitely has a little speed. I don't know what he was doing in the minors. I could look that up. He does play left field, right field, and center field. So a good guy to have in your bench. And the last Oh, well, see, since April 23rd, he's been starting every day.
Because they demoted Kelnick too, so that probably freed up some at bats. But
That
also, I mean, I'm looking. The guy's 31 years old, or he's 30. He's going to turn 31 soon, and he's been around. Right, age 26, he got 19 games, then 27, 64, 47 games. His average at 188, 177, 200, 071. Then last year, yeah, he kind of put it together in 35 games, and they had some pretty decent numbers. And he's playing very well so far right now.
since he took over in a regular starting spot, he's definitely a stopgap. But like he's a guy, like I was saying, could he be a guy that at the end of the season, if you kept him all year, you're like, wow, he really produced for me, or is he just a guy you pick up and drop later? Then Luis Garcia, second baseman for Washington, I actually drafted him. He had a great last couple years. Um, Numbers crunch. He's off to a horrible start. I'm guessing he's playing better, is why a good pickup for a last place team. Let's put it this way, because you know last year he went 18-22, 18 homers, 22 stolen bases, and he
Yeah.
batted 282. So Luis Garcia is definitely a good roll of the dice. He's batting 234 now with three homers and six stolen bases, and he wasn't doing that when I had him. So he's definitely playing a lot better lately. Looking at his game log, he definitely is a guy I should have kept my eye on because I did drop him. But I do have a log jam in middle infield, second base. But I could always use someone who's playing well.
Sure. Absolutely.
And
What a
Baldy being active in last place trying to make moves. That move I like more than the Ty France move.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like there's some more there on that day,
Yeah,
couple more.
Gonsolin by Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, he had that great start, and we made those comments about the Dodgers. They had nine pitchers for five starting slots, but you're like, yeah, but that means you really only need to get about 22 starts from everybody,
Right.
and it would work. And it looks like they're pretty much might be on par for something close to that, other than a couple of them. But there's going to be a bunch of guys that make,
Yeah,
I don't know, 13 plus starts for the Dodgers this year, right? There's going to be a
absolutely.
bunch of them.
They were going into the
And
season thinking that. Absolutely.
and several of them are going to have like great numbers. I mean, if you can run with them, they might only give you 12 starts, but yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be amazing.
they've had some injuries, but they also knew some of the people coming in were possibly injuries. So they were kind of thinking they may have to do this. Gonsolin was bid $2 to get him. And then a guy we talked about before, the savvy 35-year-old veteran, Jose Quintana, was picked up for $5 for Highland Park Crusher. It was a pretty high bid. I don't know if anyone else bid. He dropped Uceta, relief pitcher for Tampa Bay. Probably a good guy that someone else will pick up eventually if he's getting sold. But Quintana picked up because he's pitching really well.
Yes, he is pitching really well. But, so that was on May 2nd. He gets Quintana because that game before, after we had talked, yeah, he'd pitched like three games in a row. We gave up one run. Five and two-thirds innings, one run. 6 innings, one run. 5 innings, one run. ERA was 1.14. Garrett picks him up. Next day, 6 earned runs.
Well, this is exactly what we're talking about. You don't know. I mean, and here's a savvy veteran who last year had a 3.75 ERA and a 1.25 WHIP, respectable. Low strikeout per nine, 135 and 170, but still respectable guy, pitching great. You pick him up, he blows up. Now, who'd he play? He played against Chicago Cubs. He had a tough matchup.
Yep,
Cubs
he
have
did.
a very good offensive team. So yeah, that's always an interesting observation. But he bid $5 to get him. So
Why don't? Yeah, that's a
five
bit much.
it was Crawford, but I understand if you need pitching. Crawford, $1. The shortstop from Seattle was picked up by Ape, and then Perez, starting pitcher for Miami, was picked up, and Casas, who's out for the season for the Boston Red Sox, first baseman, young 25-year-old Boston Red Sox fan. How do you feel about that?
I it, I mean, he was off to a terrible start,
Horrible.
so psychologically that clearly lessens the blow. But he's like a 25, 26-year-old building block that they have team control over for 3 more years. Yeah, that sucks for the team for sure.
It does. It does. I felt bad for him, and I'm sure he was obviously going to start to play better. We've seen him have cold and hot months before. Um,
Yep.
Baez, shortstop for Detroit, picked up for $1. He's actually playing really well.
Really well. I had no idea,
I didn't
but
either until I saw the pickup. I looked him up.
I saw something maybe earlier the day where he on one of my social media feeds, and I was like, "What?" Like it was just a little blurb about him, and I was like, "I'm gonna have to remember to check that out." But of course, I forgot, and then I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, "Oh, he got picked up by Hunter." Not
Well,
that I would have grabbed him, but
yeah,
I'm
not that
saying
you would have. Well,
I
listen,
just, I
two,
just,
yeah,
I
you thought
forgot.
maybe you heard of him. He used to have some pedigree, right? 2 years ago, he
Yeah,
had 510 at bats, but only batted 222 with 9 homers and 12 stolen bases. Not good. Last year, half a season, I think he got injured. 80 games, 184. He batted 6 homers,
yeah.
8 stolen bases
Well,
in
since
half a
he
season.
signed that big deal with Detroit, he's been awful.
Right. So it's nice to see him come out in 28 games, 94 at bats. He's almost 100 plate appearances, 4 walks, 308 average. 14 runs, 14 ribbies, 3 homers, 1 stolen base. Nothing crazy there, but pretty steady.
Very steady.
And I think they're actually playing him in the outfield now that I think about it.
Really?
I believe. I'm going to go look at a game. Go to the next free agent pickup. I think there's only, did I go through them all? I think there's one or two left. Yeah.
I was looking up. I want to see if maybe it's another crazy one. Javier Baez, over the last 30 days, or last 14 days, he's the number 30 ranked player.
Wow.
So, of those numbers you said, yeah, 10 runs, 10 RBI happened in the last 14 days, hitting 368 with an 11.25 off. I mean, he used to be that good. I mean, not that good, but he used to be super good. Who knows? Maybe something got fixed, or maybe it's one of those 2 week spans.
Well, that's the thing. Is it just a hot streak, or has he come back from injury? Is he healthy? He's feeling better. I mean, is he ever going to be the player he was? Probably not. But can you ride out a hot streak or get a whole good season out of him? I think there's definitely a chance of that happening.
Hey, check this out. So, looking at the last 2 weeks, Teoscar Hernandez is the number one hitter and the number two player in the last 14 days. He's hitting 396 with an 11.58 ops, 12 runs, 16 RBIs, 4-2. And I just want to reiterate that I traded him for the Red Sox prospect as a homer and Jake Berger, who was demoted to the minors.
That's right. And you traded Teoscar Hernandez to
Yeah.
get those guys.
And now Zach has like the best offense in the league.
and was one of the best
So,
offensive players. So, are you holding on to Berger or thinking about just cutting him loose?
I mean, I did read a thing that said this isn't permanent.
Right, they're trying to
They
get him to
just,
fix the swing. I did too.
yeah, just fixed, try to get it fixed. But I mean, that was just a blow when I saw it because there's nothing worse, right? It's one thing if a guy gets injured, all right, well, I'll put him on the injured list and I'll pick somebody up. But when a guy who's like a $16 guy in the draft gets off to such a cold start that he gets sent to the minors, we just can't cut that guy, right?
No, you can. If you have a minor league spot, you definitely. We have one minor league slot we can use. Just to end on Javi Baez. I mean, as recently as 2021, Steve, this guy
Yeah.
had 31 homers, 87 ribbies, batted 265. And just a few years before that, he had 34 homers, 111 ribbies, and 21 stolen bases, batted 290 in 2018. It's not that long ago. 7 years
Yeah.
that one is, but
Yeah.
2021 is 4 years ago. I mean, it's not that long ago. And, you know, how old is Javi Baez?
And how old is Javi Baez?
Javi Baez
30,
was born in
32.
1992. Yeah, so he'll be 33 this year, but it's not till December. He's December 1st, baby. So, 32 years old, a pedigree like that in the past, good seasons before and one after COVID. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a great roll of the dice. Who picked him up again?
Hunter.
Hunter. That's a great pickup, I think. I mean, definitely worth the chance, or it could just be a hot streak and he's back to last year's Javi Baez. We just never know. Then Uribe was
Yeah.
picked up. One of those good closers who was out there.
Yeah.
Not closer, setup guy, Solds guy.
Relief pitcher.
Yeah, for Milwaukee, he's pretty good one. I'm sure he's up there in the top 25 or 30 in Solds probably. And then Myers was added center fielder for Houston. I think that's a guy was to get some steals and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know anything about Myers.
Looks like Uribe has 13 holds.
Oh, so yeah, that's not so bad actually at all if you think about it. Um,
Oh, he's right up there at the top of the list, really.
and by the
Um,
way, this
he's
Jake Myers guy, can I just get into him real quick? Jake
yeah.
Myers, the last pickup in the league so far, he's batting 303 and 89 at bats. He's got 7 stolen bases.
Yep. He's a Astro guy, and Hunter picked him up.
Hunter's an Astro
He
fan.
is, yep. He is 29 years old. And in his previous seasons, he hit 260 in 49 games, 227 and 52, 227 and 112, and then last year 219 in 148 games. His off is always terrible, and he doesn't really make strong contact, but he's off to a good start this year. So that's another guy. Ride him, smoke him if you got him.
Smoke if you got him, and I know the 28-year-old sometimes always getting old, but sometimes people start to flourish at 28. And listen, this guy's a 227 hitter, 219 hitter the last 2 years, but last year he went 13 and 11 homers and stolen bases. you know, only 51 runs and 61 ribbies, but that's not horrible. But that's in 461 at bats, so it's not great. But he's riding the hot hand. He needs steals, obviously. He's already ahead of any pace he's ever had in stolen bases. Those bigger bags, I'm telling you. Um, so that's what's going on in the pickups within the last 5, 6 days in DraftMasters. Anything
Yeah.
surprising you in the league, Steve?
The only no, I mean
Your bad team,
the
maybe.
overall. Yeah, well, sure. Well, my bad team is surprising. No one expects that. No one wants it.
Yeah.
But I guess everything else, you know, Zach being in second, that seems about right. And nice to see Rick making a run. Garrett making a run, it would be nice. I mean, because since his championship, he's had a lot of subpar finishes.
Right, he's in third right
And
now. Yeah, he's playing well. His team is good. Good offense,
and
apparently.
you at fourth, I mean, that's kind of like where you've been around for the past 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah, third, fourth. I haven't won in a little while, 2017 or 18. But yeah, it's been a while since I won, but I'm usually in the top three or four. But I'd like to be higher this
Yeah,
year.
sure. And yeah, but other than that, everything looks nothing too overwhelmingly shocking.
No, not too shocking. Good takeover at first place by Ape. It's been a very active season. That's one thing I do like to see. And going over the pickups and drops, listen, Baldy's now in eighth at 37.5 points, just a point and a half ahead of Big Al and you. But he's making moves. He's trying to, find the players he needs. And, brought it up once, don't want to rub it in, but that just goes to show you, we got to point it out. A guy like Hoskins, it's tough to drop. Got to wait it out sometimes.
Yep,
Yeah.
you do.
Without a doubt.
All
That's
right.
fantasy baseball, baseball. That's the DraftMasters Roto League. I am Dan O'Day. That's Steve Romano. Thanks for joining. Next, we get into our head-to-head league.
Have a good one.
Baseball, baseball, baseball.